Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Gavin Yu. I'm a grade 7 student and currently attending Virtual Elementary West.
So tell me about your project. What did you decide to test?
I decided to test the different ratios of blades in a wind turbine to see which blades were the most efficient and which ones could produce the most volts using the least amount of materials.
How did you test your project?
So I used a multimeter to view how many volts were produced, and I also used a generator to generate the electricity, and I also used a leaf blower to blow the blades so that they could spin the generator, which could tell me which would bring the electricity to the multimeter, which could tell me how many volts were produced.
So tell me about the design that you made. How does it work?
So I have a cork and some popsicle sticks. So what I could do was I could untape each blade and exchange them with different sized blades, and then keep testing them. And they're quite easy to exchange because all I had to do was untape them and then tape them again.
So what were your results, and why do you think you achieved these results?
My results were that the blades with ratios 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and 1 to 5 were the most efficient ones. This is because I think it's because they were firstly extremely light, and also they weren't too thin or too wide. Because if they were too thin, they wouldn't be able to spin the generator, and if they were too wide, they'd become too heavy, and there'd be a lot of materials wasted.
So what metric did you use to find the ratios, and what variables would you have tested?
So I used centimeters with my blades, and for the electricity, I measured them in volts.
How did your results compare to your hypothesis, or what you expected?
So I had two hypotheses. They were both the averages of normal wind turbines. My first hypothesis was somewhere around 1 to 4, and the other one was somewhere around 1 to 12 or 1 to 13. And my hypothesis of 1 to 4 was quite accurate because it was actually really close to my results.
Just to elaborate a bit more, could you talk to me a bit more about how a wind turbine generates electricity?
So a wind turbine has blades which, using wind, could spin, and then the blades could spin a generator which would produce electricity.
What did you learn throughout the process of this project?
I learned a lot of things in this project that didn't really have anything to do with the ratios. For example, I learned that blades with really thin widths, they were actually really good because they couldn't catch enough wind, and they were incapable of generating electricity. Another thing that I learned was that the blades with larger areas weren't always the ones that produced more electricity because they were more heavy, and there was a lot of materials wasted.
What challenges did you face?
One challenge that I faced was that a normal fan in my house could not actually spin any of the blades. So what I did was I actually used a leaf blower to blow the blades, which was successful.
How did you choose this project?
So I wanted to do something to do with green energy, such as wind turbines or solar panels. So I ended up choosing this because I wanted to learn more about different ratios of wind turbines.
And how can your innovation be used to solve a problem or improve something in society?
Currently, there are a lot of wind turbines out there, and I think in the future, if anyone wants to manufacture any windmills, this information could be quite helpful.
Thank you, Gavin, very much for your time. That was a wonderful presentation, and I thank you for being here with us.